So, and I've got one more for you.
I'm trying to, Mr. Chairman, commissioners and citizens of Gates County. I had noticed over the past few meetings, the conversation of freedom of speech has come up, and I'm a little bit hoarse. But after the shooting we had in Tucson, that guy had in his mind that was his freedom of speech to just go ahead and start shooting somebody. So I thought today I'd bring a little attention to us with what our forefathers believed freedom of speech really was. And a lot of my information will be coming from Martin, what he wrote in 1791 after the Constitution. Our Constitution was written 14 years, around 14 years after our Declaration of Independence, which after we had won our freedom from the British, from England, we had the Declaration of Independence, but each state had their own individual constitution. So after Shane's Rebellion and after George Washington and some others saw that there was a possibility that we could be invaded or taken over, they decided it was time to write a United States Constitution and have a strong central government. So I'm trying to understand all of that, and we even have to go back as far as say 1521, when a lady was born in England, and she was actually able to preach the gospel and interpret the scripture better than what the bishop was. And of course, he was offended by that, and he had her in prison. And not only was she in prison, but she was burned at the stake. And does anybody in here know what her name was and what her age was? She was only 25 years old. So could you imagine that here in the United States today? And her name, incidentally, was Anne Askew. So, but after that, a gentleman by the name of George Fox, he was the founder of what we call the Quaker religion. The Quakers were very instrumental in the forming of our government. They were a very religious group. They didn't believe in having ministers. If anybody wanted to preach, they would preach. Some of the beliefs that the Quakers had were at the beginning, before they were Quakers, they were the seekers of the truth. They wanted to know what the real religion was. But some of that belief was that they didn't judge. Judge ye not, for ye shall be judged. And I'm not a preacher, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not a judge. But another one of their beliefs was that if you bargained, you were basically a liar, because bargain was a flexing the truth, and they believed the straight line of the truth. But as we read the Constitution, where it says Congress made no laws repressing the establishment of religion or forbidding the freedom exercise thereof. That is one of the reasons why we can worship however we please today, and that's a good thing for all of us in here. But going back into Martin's justice, before I go further, 2 minutes. If you were caught, and this is where freedom of speech is really important, if you were caught as a governing body where you have taken an oath of any kind and you misled, deceived, or lied, your right ear was nailed to the column of the courthouse and it was cut off for an hour, then your next ear was nailed and it was cut off. So the people who wrote our Constitution were very honorably and trusting men, and they believed in lying absolutely none whatsoever. And that is where freedom of speech, we need to know that we have to keep our freedom of speech as honest as we possibly can. And I wrote something, and I'm trying to cut this short for Graham, and I want to try to read this right quick. 11 score and 15 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation. Our fathers were men of honor and integrity alike. They would know astray from the truth, they held tight. After 14 years into our declaration, they wrote the Constitution to save our nation. As our fathers have passed our nation to us, what happened to honor, integrity, and trust? Our county, state, and government alike have let honesty and integrity pass out of sight. For us to survive as time goes by, we must find these two things or our nation may die. for they hold the keys to the answers we seek. Honesty and integrity did not come cheap. Whenever our Constitution is to be read, remember it was honor, and integrity our fathers were trying to embed. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.